płatniczości jest deklarowane w większości.
Irrespective of the fact that the subsidiarity principle is being paid lip service to, it is not being put into practice, and facts speak for themselves. And excessive regulation hasn't been reduced. There are more and more legal acts. There are more and more delegated acts that contribute to the plethora of legislation. And the European Commission very rarely takes heed of national parliaments when they use the procedure of the yellow card. And, for example, the regulation on the European Public Prosecutor's Office or the new version of the directive on posting of workers are good examples because the European Commission is continuing work on these legal acts. And I regret to say that as a result of Brexit, the agreement between the UK and the European Union on a number of issues, but among other things, on increased role for European parliaments cannot be put into practice. I'm talking about the red card procedure that was part of that agreement, which obligated the Council to give up work on legislation where half of national parliaments are against. But I think we could use the idea of the agreement. It will not be put into practice in the way it was meant to be. But I think our group should expect from the Council that when national parliaments strongly protest, the Council should withdraw legislation. We should also think about a number of tools that should be considered by our group. We talked about it in the morning when we talked about the strategy of our group. I think we should make more use of the fact that in some member states we are in government or in coalition governments. A lot depends also on whether the platform on exchanging information between the national parliaments will take shape, because this would mean that national parliaments would have more information available, and it would make it possible for national parliaments to coordinate their efforts. All political analyses suggest that national parliaments are not cooperating among themselves. But I would also like to look at the issue more broadly, not only referring to national parliaments. I think that the subsidiarity principle should be key to solving the problems of the European Union, key against excessive thinking based on excessive doctrine. It would be better if we have minimal instruments, legal and otherwise, to fight with terrorism or human trafficking, etc. But in other areas, for example, in economic areas, member states should keep their current existing powers. Subsidiarity is what makes it possible to look to the future, institutional future of Europe without excessive reference to doctrine. And one more comment on changing European treaties. I think our group should be very cautious. We should not be calling for the change of the treaties, because such people as Mr. Verhofstadt and ALDE in general, they have prepared a report whose meaning is very clear. They want convention. They want to change the treaties. I suppose this report will be voted on in November or December. We should be critical of this report because our member states can take more advantage of the existing treaties if you apply the principle of subsidiarity, diversity, etc. And opening the procedure for changing the treaties will mean that the dynamics may lead to complete failure, which will reduce the authority of the European institutions, or it will lead to greater integration at the cost of flexibility, subsidiarity, and powers of the member states. And I think we should have a very clear position on this, and I will be interested to know what the individual delegations think about it. The President of the European Union wants to accelerate work on these ideas. I wouldn't be talking about it if it was something very distant, but we'll be facing the issue very soon. So to conclude, I'd like to say that the principle of subsidiarity can be a good tool for us to fight centralism, to ensure flexibility, and with respect to the treaties, we should be very cautious, and I would be against promoting the change of the treaties.